Broadcasting live on the internet at party934.com.
Now, throw the switch and let us begin the battle for the planet.
Good Friday morning, everyone. I'm Jim Camp, and this is Riot Act Radio. That was Queen with Under Pressure. Riot Act Radio is broadcasting live from the Texas Triangle near the main gate to Fort Hood, Texas. That's home of 3 Corps and the 1st Cavalry Division, just to name a few of the fine military units sharing Fort Hood and serving America. As you probably know by now, every Friday, Riot Act Radio provides a recap of some of the week's political stories. Today is September 19th, 2014. Election Day is only 47 days away, and I've spoke to this idea with you before, that democracy is one vote, one voice, all coming together. I have a special guest with me today, right here on Riot Act Radio this morning. His name is Louie Minor, and Louie is running for the United States House of Representatives, congressional seat, Texas District 31. Now, Texas, the District 31 kind of serves a strip of central Texas right here in Riot Act Radio land. It runs from North Austin up to Temple, and the district includes most of the fastest growing northern suburb of Austin, which is Williamson County, and also right here, Fort Hood, Army Post, and Killeen. Louie Minor, he's a captain in the Army Reserves, which is a good thing. He's a combat veteran from the Iraq War, a native of Central Texas. He was born and raised in Belton, Texas, which is just a few miles down the road from Killeen here. Louie is third-generation Latino American, and he's the first generation in his family to graduate from college. Louie, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Jim. Thanks for having me on.
I'm really proud to have you on my show, and I want to kick this off. It's a question that I would like to ask you is, in today's political climate, why are you running for Congress?
Well, Jim, I'm a public servant. I've been a public servant most of my adult life. I'm a prior law enforcement officer. Like you said, I'm a prior military Iraq veteran. And then I worked for Department of Homeland Security in Washington, D.C. after I worked in the Army, after I got out of the Army. Now, in all of those fields that I've worked in, I never got the opportunity to be partisan. I always had to help everybody, regardless of your beliefs, regardless of your income, your education. I never once was asked to go to an accident scene or anything like that and to get there very fast because it's a Democrat there that needs my help or it's a Republican there that needs my help. It was just, this person needs your help and you need to go help. And that's what I want to bring to Congress, not serving one political party and idea, but serving everyone, regardless if you vote for me or not.
Serving the country.
Exactly.
Okay, I would like to say this before we get into it. For all my listeners out there, if you have a question for Louie Minor, please email me the question at riotactradio.com. That's riotactradio.com, and I'll try and get those questions on, and we'll ask Louie Minor what he thinks. Louie, I would like for you, I did a small description of what our congressional district is. Why don't you go ahead and describe that district and yourself?
Absolutely. Well, this district, it's one of probably the least gerrymandered of all the congressional districts, but it is gerrymandered. It is all of Williamson County and most of Bell County except for 3 precincts in the Killeen area, which are obviously probably the most Democratic precincts with the highest voter turnout. Like you said, it's home to Fort Hood. Killeen is the largest city in the district with about 130,000 residents. And then you go to Williamson County, which has Northwest Austin, Round Rock, Cedar Park, Leander, Taylor, Hutto, and Georgetown. So it's a suburb. And from some of the census statistics that I've seen, that Williamson County will outgrow Travis County within the next 25 years, as far as population. There's really nowhere for anyone to there's no more land in Travis County. They're starting to build up now in Travis County.
Moving north.
So the land is cheaper, and there's more of it available in Williamson County. So everywhere you go in Williamson County, it's booming. Construction, jobs, everything like that.
Well, I'd like to say, as far as, when they describe Killeen and Fort Hood, a lot of people are under the impression that most veterans and most military members are to the right or Republican, vote Republican. And I like to counter that because I'm a veteran. I know many veterans who are progressives, and you're a veteran yourself, and you're a progressive, a Democrat. So it's not as easily to say nowadays, I think, that because this military section here in your district is going to vote Republican. So I just wanted to get that out. But I did like to ask you, what can you tell us about the 6-term congressman that you're running against?
Well, John Carter is a retired district judge. He was appointed to that position and just ran for re-election. And as you know, being an incumbent, that's a good thing, running as an incumbent.
Oh, absolutely.
So he's been there. He was there 20 years. Then once this district was created, the 31st district, he retired and ran for this office. And pretty much,
but that was,
in my opinion,
15 years ago?
In my opinion, he's been retired since he ran. I don't see him as a leader. I do not see him as someone that's looking out for this district. I hear it all the time talking to veterans here in the Killeen area. I go to the American Legions. I'm a member of the American Legion. I'm a member of the VFW. And a lot of veterans, they're not happy with him. They said he only comes up here when there's a shooting at Fort Hood. And
I noticed that as well.
I'm sorry?
I said I noticed that as well with our last shooting and the shooting before that at Fort Hood. It seems like everybody comes out of the woodwork for these things, and which a political person should, but it seems like that's the only reason they come here, is for something tragic that happens.
Correct. And, he voted against, there's a group, an organization that's been in the news a lot, the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America. I'm a member of that organization as well.
Yes.
And they gave John Carter a D on his support for veterans and the military. And I concur with that. He voted against the COLA increase for retirees and disabled veterans. We're about to get furlough notices went out on Fort Hood, downsizing Fort Hood. About 165 civilians are losing their jobs, and we did not hear a peep from our representative. So he doesn't represent this area, and he needs to go, and that's why I'm running.
That's
I said, Killeen is also the largest city in the district, but we don't have a district office here in Killeen.
I would have thought Temple was larger.
No.
Wow.
Temple is only about 60,000 people.
Wow, I didn't know that. Well, let me ask you something, Louie. In your opinion, how does it look for us Democrats here in Bell County?
Well, some of the things that are happening in Texas as a whole, the Democrats were tired of being passive here and letting the Republicans run everything. So what you're seeing, especially here in the district, but it's being replicated all across the state, activism, people volunteering, people making phone calls, people knocking on doors, to the likes of which a lot of people have said they haven't seen in 20 years. Now, I just moved back from D.C. about a year and a half ago to run for this office. So my familiarity with everything that happened in the past as far as with the political process has been a little dated. But I can tell you that the Democratic office here in Killeen that we have off of Rancier is open every day of the week. People are in here making phone calls. We're block walking from here. We're registering voters. And you go by the Republican office in Belton, and they're only open 2 days a week and only a few hours out of those 2 days.
Well, I can attest to that, Louie, because I went to a Wendy Davis gathering. Also, they encouraged me to sign up as a voter register officer so I can register people to vote. And I have seen that. There is a lot of people out there now really pushing for the more progressive ideas and the way things are being run in our county, so forth.
Yeah, it's, like for me, growing up here in this area, I initially started out as a Republican because I worked for elected officials. I worked for the sheriff, and I worked for the constable. Those are elected positions. So obviously I would go and support my boss and all that stuff. I wasn't very familiar with the actual policies because whenever you're a police officer, especially an elected official, you really don't think too much about policy. It's about serving the laws or enforcing the laws that are on the books,
right,
and going from there. But when I joined the military and I actually did a little bit more traveling around this country, that's when I started realizing the policies, the bad policies that the Republican Party and more specifically the Tea Party is supporting. And the Tea Party is what really changed my mind and said, I can't support the Republican Party because of the Tea Party. And then that's why I left.
Well, I can agree with you there. I think the Tea Party is way off to the right, and really have absolutely done nothing for our country. And if you look at Congress, the way it's gridlocked, nothing gets done. I would like to ask you, what is your most urgent concerns at this time, looking at from the, the federal perspective?
Well, it's jobs and supporting the middle class, supporting small businesses, raising the minimum wage to a living wage. And I think, I support the President's 1010 initiative and then going from there. Ending, you have oil companies, you have fast food companies, Walmart, making record profits, but their employees are subsidized. They get subsidized housing, they get assistance SNAP. So we're paying for that already.
Oh, absolutely.
Take some of the profits out of the pockets of these billionaires and give it to the employees.
And that's a thing that really kind of bothers me when they say that raising the minimum wage is a job killer, which is totally opposite of the truth. We have some businesses right here in Killeen that getting ready to open. It's the In-N-Out Burger. They start their employees out at $10.50 an hour. I think the Panera Bread, they have a higher than minimum wage starting salary. So they can't say that raising the minimum wage kills jobs. It's just the opposite. If you raise the minimum wage, you would actually create more jobs because the economy would grow. Someone who makes the minimum wage, they don't save that money. They go out and spend it. They buy shoes for their kids or school supplies or whatever. So that whole idea of the minimum wage killing jobs is ridiculous.
No, absolutely. And, even IKEA follows the same model, paying more, investing in their employees because you have lower turnover because it's an investment. Anyone that owns a business will tell you, two of the largest investments that you're going to have that you're going to spend money on are people and property. So, you got to invest in your people, take care of your people, make sure they're happy. If they're happy, they'll make the business successful.
That's absolutely true. And that big IKEA store is in your district, isn't it?
It is, right in Round Rock.
Yeah, I see it every time I'm down 35. I see it right there, the big blue building with the yellow letters. I know you've been traveling all over our district here. What kind of response are you getting when you knock on the doors and meet our local voters?
Well, like I told you, that we're doing things that we have not done in years, and people are very happy that Democrats are out, knocking on doors and making phone calls. I'll knock on someone's door and someone will tell me, if these are strong Democratic voters that vote all the time, and I knock on their door, and they'll tell me, you're the first person to ever knock on my door, or the first candidate to ever knock on my door. So to get that one-on-one interaction. And what's happening in Williamson County is very remarkable from my perspective, and even what some of the other people down in the county, Williamson County, have said. We have Democrats up and down the ticket. That's something they said has not happened in over 20 years.
Right.
Also, the other thing that's going on in Williamson County and Austin, really, is they're having district elections. That's the first time they've had that in a long, long time. So Northwest Austin most of it is in Williamson County. That's District 6. There are 3 Democrats and I believe 2 Republicans that are running now. It's a nonpartisan, but they're ginning up their base to come out and vote. So that's going to push out voters. All the Democrats in Williamson County that are running, they're all working their districts to push out voters. And then we also have this wonderful thing called Battleground Texas here in Bell and Williamson County. And they're working hard. So that, coupled with the state party, who went from, I think the last election cycle, they said that they had 4 full-time employees. Now they have 40 full-time employees, and they're hiring canvassers. And we have, I know, 1 in Williamson County, and then the county's coordinated campaign, we're actually going to hire more canvassers to get out and augment our volunteers and push out the vote.
Well, I can understand that. There are a lot of younger people that are starting to take an interest in politics or in the electoral part of it, to try and get their candidates and more progressives. I can only hope that maybe we can turn Texas blue, or at least purple, in the coming few elections. The Wendy Davis and Greg Abbott, they're having a debate tonight. They're coming face to face, so it's the first live debate of that race. Let me ask you then, how do you think the governor's campaign is going between Greg Abbott and Wendy Davis? I mean, I saw a recent poll that shows that Wendy Davis has actually closed the gap and is probably within striking distance of winning the governorship. Yes,
I agree. I agree with that statement. This is going to be very interesting, this debate. And I was reading the Texas Tribune this morning, and this is going to be Greg Abbott's second live debate ever in his political career. So it's going to be very interesting to see how if he has an oops moment or not, and how that's going to play out. They only have two debates going on this election cycle. So.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot of the Republican candidates avoid debates. They don't want to. I think that we've only had like 2 or 3 debates in the entire time that Rick Perry has been governor. He's only debated 2 or 3 times, and that's 14 years. Republicans avoid debates because they know they can be called out on the issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one thing you have to think about, and I understand the politics of not wanting to debate. Like my opponent does not want to debate. He has nothing to gain from it. He can only lose standing. So I get that, but still, it's part of the democratic process, part of our electoral process, and something that we've been ingrained with, from our history books of our 2 politicians going head-to-head, debating, and we're going to vote on the best ideas. But if you don't know what to compare and contrast, then you really
Yeah.
disenfranchising the voters.
Yeah, and that's a real shame because you are disenfranchising the voters. Hey, Louie, I'm running out of time here. Is there any final thing you'd like to say before I let you get back out on the campaign trail?
You know, all your listeners, I want them to get involved in the process, especially if you live in Bell or Williamson County. Obviously, I want you to vote Democrat, but if not, just get involved and vote. You know, we have an office here in Killeen off Rancier. We have one in Georgetown. We're looking for volunteers, people that want to help out, people that want to make a difference and get involved. And also, you know, go to my website, Facebook and Twitter, and you know, follow me, and you'll know what's going on as far as the campaign is concerned.
Okay, and everyone who's listening, Louie's website is www.louieminer.com, and that's LOUIE minor.com, louieminer.com. Go ahead and check out his website. There's a lot of great information there. Louie Miner, thanks for coming on the show, and I wish you good luck in this election.
All right, thanks, Jim.
Okay, have a good one.
All right, bye.
Bye. Okay, that was Louie Miner. He's running for District 31, congressional seat, United States Congress, going up against a guy you don't know because he's never around. So, Louie Miner, with just 47 days until Election Day, you need to get out and vote because it's important. Because if you don't vote, then you only have one person to blame, and that's yourself. You know what you need to do, so let's get out there and do it. Vote.
Party 93.4.
Or his dudeness, or Duder, or El Duderino, if you're not into the whole brevity thing.
Party 93.4.